I paid every single bill in that house, and somehow I was worth nothing. Let that sink in for a second. Have you ever been the one everyone depends on, but the moment it matters, you disappear from the story? Because that's exactly what happened to me. My name is Ava Thompson, 32, and for years I was the one holding everything together. Quietly, consistently. No applause, no recognition, just responsibility. Mortgage? Me. Electricity? Me. Mom's medical bills? Also me. Not because I had to, but because I thought that's what family does. So when my dad passed, I didn't expect a reward. I didn't expect a big inheritance, but I did expect one thing: fairness. Or at the very least, acknowledgement. Instead, I got blindsided. We were all sitting in the lawyer's office. My mom, Linda, wouldn't even look at me. My younger brother, Ethan, sat there like he already knew something I didn't. And then the lawyer started reading. The house? Ethan. The savings? Ethan. The insurance? Ethan. Everything? Ethan. No mention of me. Not even a sentence. Not even a thank you. Just erased. I remember blinking, waiting for the "and to my daughter Ava" part. It never came. And here's the strangest part. No one else seemed surprised. Not my mom, not my brother. Just me. So I asked myself a question I couldn't ignore. How do you give everything to one child when the other one paid for it? Because here's what they didn't say in that room. The house? I'd been paying that mortgage for 3 years. The bills? All under my accounts. The family support? That was me every single month. And suddenly, it all clicked. They didn't forget me. They expected me to stay exactly where I was, just without anything in return. That night, I went home, opened my banking app, and stared at the list of automatic payments. One tap could stop everything. I hovered over the screen. No calls, no apologies, no explanations. Just silence. Like I didn't matter. So I made a decision. I didn't argue. I didn't confront anyone. I just stopped paying. And that's when everything started to fall apart. They thought I'd never notice, and even if I did, I'd keep paying anyway. Let me ask you something. If you've always been the strong one, the reliable one, do people ever stop seeing you as human? Or do you just become a resource? Because that's exactly how it started to feel. After the funeral, everything went back to normal. Too normal. My mom, Linda, was already talking about next steps for the house. Paint, renovations, maybe even renting out a room. Like nothing had changed. Except everything had. Because now, legally, the house belonged to Ethan, my younger brother, 27, no steady job, a history of bad financial decisions, but somehow now the owner of everything. And me? Still the one paying for it. At least, that's what they assumed. The first few days, I said nothing. I watched. I watched Ethan casually scroll through furniture online, talking about upgrading the place. I watched my mom remind me, almost casually, make sure the water bill doesn't bounce this month. Not please, not thank you, just expectation. Like I was an unpaid employee, not a daughter. So I tested something. I delayed one payment, just one. No warning, no explanation. And guess what? No one checked on me. No one asked if I was okay. Instead, 3 days later, I got a message from my mom. Electricity's due. Did you forget? That was it. No, hi, Ava. No, How are you holding up? Nothing about losing my dad. Just a reminder to keep serving. And that's when it hit me harder than anything in that lawyer's office. That was the moment the confusion turned into something else. Suspicion. Because now it didn't feel like I was forgotten. It felt like I was removed. Days passed. The bills stacked up. Water notice, mortgage warning, late fees. And still, no apology, no explanation. Just pressure. Calls, messages, subtle guilt. Until finally, weeks later, I got a text. No greeting, no context, just one line. Transfer the mortgage. I read it once, then again. Slowly. And something inside me shifted. Because this time, I wasn't going to stay quiet. I opened my messages, and I started typing. That message, it wasn't just rude, it proved everything I needed to know. Transfer the mortgage. No pleas, no explanation, no acknowledgement of everything I had already done. Just an order. I stared at the screen, my thumb hovering over the keyboard. And for the first time since all of this started, I didn't feel confused. I felt clear. But before I replied, I needed something first. Proof. Not for them, for me. So I opened everything. Bank statements, years of them. Every transfer, every bill, every late-night payment I made without telling anyone. Mortgage installments, electricity, water, insurance, month after month after month. And as I scrolled, something hit me harder than anything else. I hadn't just been helping. I had been carrying them completely, financially, silently. And they knew it. That's why no one panicked when the will was read. That's why no one explained anything. Because in their minds, nothing had really changed. They got the house, and I stayed the one paying for it. But then I noticed something else. Something small, but critical. The house was in Ethan's name now, but the mortgage? Still active, still unpaid, and more importantly, still dependent on the payments I had been making. Which meant one thing. They got the asset, but they had no real plan to handle the responsibility. And suddenly, everything made sense. The silence, the entitlement, the pressure. It wasn't confidence. It was assumption. They assumed I would never stop. So this time, I didn't just ignore the message. I acted. I went into my bank account and canceled everything. Not delayed, not paused, canceled. Mortgage payments, utilities, automatic transfers. All of it. Done. Officially. Within days, the consequences started rolling in. Calls from the bank, this time not to me, but to the house. Notices, warnings, urgency. And just like that, the pressure shifted. My phone lit up nonstop. Missed calls from my mom, texts from Ethan. What are you doing? Are you serious right now? You're going to ruin everything. Ruin everything? I almost smiled, because for the first time, I wasn't the one holding everything together. I was the one letting the truth show. And the truth? They couldn't afford the life they had taken from me. Then the final notice came. If payments weren't made, foreclosure would begin. That's when the calls changed. The anger disappeared, and in its place, something I had never heard from my mom before. Fear. She called again. This time, her voice was different, softer, shaking. Ava, we need to talk. And this time, I was ready. We need to talk. Funny how those words finally came only when everything started collapsing. Not when I was paying their bills, not when I sat in that lawyer's office erased from my own family's future, But now, when the house was on the line, I didn't go back home. No, this time we met somewhere neutral. The bank. The same place that had been quietly holding the truth this entire time. When I walked in, my mom, Linda, looked smaller. Not physically, but emotionally. The confidence she always carried was gone. Ethan sat beside her, tense, scrolling through his phone like he could escape the situation if he didn't look up. But there was nowhere to hide. The loan officer laid it out clearly. The house was in Ethan's name, yes, but the mortgage? Unpaid, overdue, and now at risk. They explained the options. Pay the overdue balance immediately, attempt refinancing, which required stable income, something Ethan didn't have, or sell the house before foreclosure proceedings began. No confusion, no loopholes, just reality. And then came the part my mom wasn't ready for. Ava, the loan officer said, turning to me, you are not legally obligated to continue these payments. There it was, out loud, official, final. My mom turned to me quickly. But you've been handling it. Handling it, I repeated, calmly, not owning it. Silence. And for the first time, I didn't hold back. I told them everything. Every late night. Every sacrifice I made. Every time I chose them over myself, thinking it meant something. My voice shook, but I didn't stop. And when it mattered, I said, looking directly at her, you made sure I had nothing. She tried to explain, said it was simpler this way, said I'd thought I'd understand. But that was the problem. They didn't just expect understanding, they expected obedience. Ethan didn't argue this time. He didn't deflect, he just sat there, realizing probably for the first time that ownership comes with responsibility. Real responsibility. And he wasn't ready for it. Weeks later, the house was sold. There was no dramatic rescue, no last-minute miracle, just consequences. My mom moved into a smaller apartment. Quiet, practical, necessary. Ethan? He had to get a job, a real one, not optional anymore. And me? I went back to my life, but something had changed. For the first time in years, my money stayed in my account. No emergency transfers, no silent obligations, just mine. And the strangest part? I didn't feel guilty. I felt free. Because they didn't just lose a house, they lost the illusion that I would always be there to carry them. And I finally understood something it took me years to learn. They left me out of the will, but in the end, I was the only one who knew what everything was really worth.